No
Antarctic
one
Ocean
on
में
that ship imagined this would be their fate. They thought the ice would open. They thought the sea would give them a way forward. But instead, the ice closed in slowly, silently, like a living thing making a decision. Picture this for a moment. You're standing on the deck of a wooden ship. Around you, nothing but endless white. No land, no cities, no people. Just ice stretching as far as the eye can see. The wind screams so loud it feels alive. The cold burns your skin like fire. And somewhere beneath your feet, the ice begins to move. At first, it's just a sound, a deep, hollow crack. Then another. Then the ship tilts slightly. That's the moment when fear settles in your chest, because you realize something terrible. You are not sailing through the ice has trapped you, and for the next 2 years, there will be no escape. This is the true story of how 28 men were frozen into the most dangerous ocean on Earth and somehow survived what should have been impossible. Long before the ice closed in, this journey began with ambition, a dream so bold that it sounded almost foolish. At the center of it all was a man who believed human will could defeat nature itself. He wasn't chasing money, he wasn't chasing fame, he wanted to prove something, to the world and to himself. At the start of the 20th century, Antarctica was still a mystery, blank spaces on maps. No satellites, no rescue teams waiting on standby. If something went wrong, help simply didn't exist. This man wanted to cross the frozen continent on foot, something no human had ever done before. But dreams like this don't come cheap, and they don't come easy. He needed a ship strong enough to survive crushing ice. He needed supplies to last years. And most importantly, he needed men willing to risk everything, knowing they might never return. So he placed an advertisement. It didn't promise riches, it didn't promise safety, it promised danger, low pay, freezing temperatures, months of darkness, constant risk of death. And yet, men responded. Sailors, explorers, dreamers, men drawn not by comfort, but by challenge. Soon, 28 of them stood together, strangers united by a single mission. They didn't know each other well, but they trusted their leader, and they trusted the ship. The ship was built like a fortress of wood and steel, designed to bend under pressure instead of breaking. Strong, heavy, reliable. At least, that's what they believed. When they finally sailed south, spirits were high. The ocean was rough, but manageable. The men joked, worked, and dreamed of success. Weeks passed, then months. The air grew colder, the sea darker. Icebergs began appearing like floating mountains. And then, one day, the ship stopped. Not gently, not slowly. It simply could not move forward anymore. Ice surrounded it on all sides, thick, solid, relentless. At first, no one panicked. This was expected, they told themselves. The ice would shift, the ship would break free. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The ice didn't move. Instead, it tightened. The ship was no longer traveling, it was imprisoned. The men were now living on a frozen sea. Winter arrived like an enemy with no mercy. The sun disappeared for months. Total darkness wrapped around them. Temperatures dropped so low that exposed skin froze in seconds. The ship creaked constantly, wood groaning under pressure. Every sound felt like a warning. They tried everything, cutting ice, pushing with manpower, using tools until their hands went numb. Nothing worked. And then one night, everything changed. A thunderous crack echoed beneath the ship, so loud it jolted every man awake. The deck tilted sharply, objects slid, men grabbed onto walls. The ice was crushing the ship, not attacking all at once, but slowly, deliberately. Day by day, the pressure increased. Beams bent, planks split, water began seeping inside. The truth became impossible to ignore. The ship would not survive.
When the order came to abandon it, silence filled the air. This ship had been their home, their shelter, their last connection to the world they left behind. Now they stood on open ice, homeless in the most hostile place on Earth. They watched their ship die, crushed, broken, dragged beneath the frozen sea, and with it sank their original dream. What remained was only survival. They set up camp on the ice itself, tents made from scraps, supplies rationed carefully.
Food became a constant worry. They hunted seals and penguins just to stay alive. Each meal felt heavy because life now depended on death. The ice beneath them was never still. Cracks opened without warning. Entire sheets drifted apart overnight. Every time they slept, they wondered if the ground beneath them would still exist by morning. But here's the twist no one expected. Despite everything, the men didn't fall apart. They supported each other, shared jokes, maintained routines. Their leader understood something crucial. Discipline was survival. If fear took over, they would be finished. Months passed in this frozen limbo. Their beards grew long, their bodies weakened. Their hope flickered but never fully died. Eventually, the ice began to break apart, not in a helpful way, in a terrifying one. The floes cracked into smaller pieces, drifting toward open ocean. Staying meant certain death. Leaving meant risking everything. With no other choice, they launched their small lifeboats into one of the most dangerous seas on Earth. The waves were massive, the cold unbearable, the boats fragile. For days they battled storms that felt endless. Water soaked them constantly. Sleep came in minutes, not hours. Finally, land appeared. A barren island, no people, no shelter, no guarantee of rescue. But it was solid ground. For the first time in nearly 2 years, they stood on land again. Some collapsed in tears, others simply stared at the ground beneath their feet. Yet safety was still far away. Food was nearly gone, winter threatened to return, and no ships passed nearby. Their leader made a decision that would change everything. He would leave, not abandon them, but risk his life to save them. With a handful of men, he took one small boat and sailed across more than 1,000 kilometers of the most violent ocean on the planet. No GPS, no modern navigation, only stars, instinct, and faith. For over 2 weeks, they fought waves taller than buildings. Ice coated their clothes. Exhaustion pushed them to the edge of madness. But somehow, against all odds, they made it. Help was found. Rescue ships were prepared, and months later, the impossible happened. A ship appeared on the horizon of that barren island. Smoke signals rose. Men ran to the shore. Every single one of them was alive. Not one life lost. 2 years trapped in ice, crushed ships, starvation, freezing darkness, and yet they survived. This story isn't just about ice or oceans. It's about leadership, about trust, about the human spirit refusing to surrender. When everything was stripped away, comfort, certainty, safety, what remained was will. And sometimes that is enough. If you think survival stories can't get more intense than this, trust me, there are more waiting to be told.